In the 1920s, Kondratieff was the director of the Institute of Business Cycles in Moscow. He studied the history of the largest capitalist countries based on time series and published his findings 1922 in Russia and 1926 in the West. He showed that capitalism develops in long waves, and though it often falls into deep crisis, it does in fact not collapse, but instead recovers after every recession with a new long upswing. Kondratieff's publication was the impetus for a new scientific discipline, the theory of long waves. In honor of him, these long waves are called Kondratieff cycles. Here you can see an example of a long wave taken from Kondratieff's publication. You can see the end of the long wave, the deep recession in the mid-19th century. The period of these long waves ran between 45 and 60 years. If we were to use the modern methods of time series analysis today, in theory we should expect the following result: 6 sine waves from the beginning in 1780 to today. When we summarize the existing studies on the long waves, so far 5 Kondratieff cycles were empirically found from an economist's point of view. The first Kondratieff cycle begins towards the end of the 18th century. The trigger is the steam engine. The most important application takes place in the textile industry. The second Kondratieff is the area of big steel and the railroad. 2 major new industries developed during the third Kondratieff, the electrotechnical and the chemical industry. The third Kondratieff ends with the world economic crisis of the late 1920s and early 1930s. The fourth Kondratieff started at the same time, which was supposed to be the automobile and the petrochemical industry. This long cycle drew to an early end due to the massive crude oil price increases of the 1970s. The fifth Kondratieff is carried by modern information technology. No other technology was able to even remotely exhibit comparable economic dynamics and widespread effect during the second half of the 20th century. This cycle ended with a global recession of 2002 to 2004. And now this begs the question, what comes next? Which new inventions are going to trigger and carry the sixth Kondratieff?